So welcoming everybody here for another.
There's a few others, Susan. I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss some people?
No,
Hi, Susan.
Kathy's here.
Kathy. And Richard.
We're doing quick introductions. Awesome, Kathy. Thank you, Nicole. I didn't see that.
No worries.
A quick introduction.
Quick introduction, Kathy Ripley Green. I am a medium, and nothing gives me more joy than when I'm connecting with dead people.
Yeah, baby.
It's true.
Rachel's having trouble getting her camera on, but I'm going to see if maybe she can at least give us a voice. We can't see you or your baby, Rachel.
She's staring at you guys. It's really cute. I am Rachel Kaczynski, and my wellness blog is Healthy Chicks, and I'm the creator of the Spark Your Bliss affirmation card deck. And my little 2-month-old Isabella brings me joy.
Yeah.
But you can't see her right now for some reason. I'm going to try to fix it.
Yeah, see if it's at the bottom. On mine, it's the bottom that says start video.
Just restart it, but
okay.
Okay.
So a couple of quick. Hold on one second.
I didn't get to say what gives me joy.
Oh, what gives you joy, Richard?
What gives me joy? I want to say blue waves give me joy, but what really gives me joy is because that's on my mind. But I think connecting with other people. Either helping other people and also people helping me, which I really appreciate, gives me a lot of joy.
That's awesome. This is going to be such a great day. My quick digital marketing tip for the day will be, so today I have on my mind this program that I'm running. Quickly, I'm going to be going over email marketing with this group and also just rising above the noise. The reason I'm thinking email marketing is because it occurs to me that people get very involved with holiday to-dos, and I always look forward to Thanksgiving because it's just being with people and enjoying food together. But then, like, bam, Hanukkah hits us like the week after. So we're just putting Hanukkah on pause at the Finn House until the end of the month when we can really address it. But it's something that if you're doing any kind of marketing, end of year or holiday or winter, it's something that you want to think about. If you're doing any kind of marketing, can you guys see a slide now that says response?
No.
No.
No. How about now?
No.
I got this. How about now?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yes.
So just remember, no matter what you're doing, be strategic. Don't waste your time. Do something that's going to make a difference. When you're doing any kind of digital marketing, give of yourself, share your joy, share your cookies, share everything you have, but always be thinking what you want people to do after they've eaten your cookies. So do you want them to download something that is of service to them that will also give them more of you? Do you want them to come into your store or to your office? Do you want them to schedule a session with you? Do you want them to, if you're a nonprofit, maybe you want them to donate, or you want them to call? Don't ever lose track of why you're doing what you're doing. So that was one thing. Let me see if I had something else up here to remember. Just very really quickly. Where this is. So you see November dates to remember?
Yes.
Yeah. Like they're just coming so quickly, and not to make it panic, but I just want people to remember that what you can do right now, this week, okay, next week, maybe next week too, is just getting a little bit ready for this, and make it super simple, make it easy on yourself, a 3-part email. And I'm going, I'll tell you more in a minute. So a 3-part email, a message, a resource, a call to action. Here's a coupon. Here's a call me to schedule your session. Buy a gift certificate. Remember that. So you have, of course, Thanksgiving, then you have Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday, all coming up within the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, all of the more traditional holidays as well. What I want to tell you guys is I'm running a free webinar on Monday morning at 9:30. And I
Next
will
Monday?
Monday morning at 9:30, right before I get on my plane for my mindset retreat. Wait till you see what happens when I come back from there. But so 9:30 in the morning, it's a 1-hour webinar, and it's all about email marketing, getting ready for the holidays, making the most, squeezing the most juice out of it all. So I will be posting more information on that everywhere. You know, you can't escape me. I'll be everywhere. So now it is my extreme joy to introduce Nicole Lewis, also known as Coco Lewis. And I will read some of her official bio. Nicole is a self-proclaimed joy warrior and the owner of Nourish with Coco. She has over 20 years of experience weaving together creativity, passion, expertise into the fields of health and wellness and teaching and coaching. She's worked with interesting people, companies, universities, nonprofit organizations. And what she's done is honed in on these skills of facilitating groups and listening and building relationships, marketing, content writing, and changing culture. She loves to make and create things. And she's also started making her own skincare products and teaching other people to do the same. Nicole is a joy warrior. Her topic today is #MoreJoy, how the playmaker inside of us can help us in our business growth. And I am so glad that you're here today, Nicole.
Oh, it is so my pleasure to be here. Susan, you reading that made me like, oh my God, I sound amazing.
You are amazing. Right?
Oh, thanks for that little ego boost.
Awesome. So you're the joy warrior. Tell me more about that.
So it's self-proclaimed. There's no class or certification to go through for that. I don't even remember exactly when that term came up, but I think it was probably about a year ago, and it might even have been through She Breathes. And it just sort of came to me that this word joy has been this theme throughout my life, and I can tell you a story around how that word came to be. But warrior is like a fighter or somebody that's, battling. And I think joy is love. And I feel like on all sorts of levels, personally, internally, locally, community, nationally, we just need more love and joy. And so I feel very passionate about giving whatever the gifts or whatever I have to offer to others and building community around love and joy and seeking it, because it just feels so good to be joyful. And the other thing that I've been thinking about lately around joy is in kind of the contradictory of, well, let me rephrase. There's this idea that joy means you have to be happy all the time, or like everything's great all the time. And I'm finding that there's joy in the discomfort and the struggle as well. And I think that that's a really interesting place to be. And I think for the last few years, I've been learning that lesson myself of finding comfort in the discomfort, or finding joy in the discomfort. So that's a little bit about the warrior. The joy is, this word has popped up throughout my life, and it started, I can't even remember when it started, but in 1995, I was in the restaurant business. I was going to college, and I was working in this really nice restaurant. This is in North Carolina, and I ended up waiting on Dr. Maya Angelou. And it was the most, like, she walked in and she just has this presence because she's Dr. Maya Angelou. And she was with another person. They had a lovely dinner. And at the end, I asked her if I could have her autographed. And she graciously, agreed and was lovely. And she wrote my name, and she wrote the word joy on this piece of paper that I had given her.
Oh my goodness.
I had tucked that piece of paper far, far away, forgot about it, literally decades later. I went to a women's retreat through my church, and we had to do characters, and I just randomly got picked to be the character of Joy. And because there were women on that retreat that didn't know me, they thought my name was Joy. So then when I would see them out and about, they would call out, Joy, Joy, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, it's Nicole, but you can call me Joy.
Wow.
And then right after that retreat, I found that autograph of Dr. Maya Angelou. And so this word kept popping up. And then there was another thing. I went to a breakfast and we all got random mugs to take home, and mine just happened to say Joy on it. So I've embraced this word. It's apparently my life word, and I've paired it with warrior. So
that's amazing. I have a question for you. You
Yeah.
said you find the joy in the discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that.
So I think from my experience, when I'm uncomfortable or if I'm going through something really hard, I want to run. I want to flee. I'm a flight. Like, that's my instinct, is to just not be experiencing the pain or the struggle or whatever. And sometimes we can't flee, and we have to be in the uncomfortable. And I've learned that instead of fighting it, there's times where fight is appropriate, but sometimes the lessons, or sometimes you just have to embrace it, accept it, and sit in it. And oftentimes there's something joyous that comes out of it. I would say almost all the time there would be a lesson or something to be found that is joyous. And sometimes you have to force yourself to be. It's almost like, well, what am I grateful in this moment, even though it sucks?
Right.
So sometimes you have to force finding the good or finding the joy in the uncomfortable. And then with practice, I think it just becomes part of who you are. And that's not to discount that if something sucks, that you can't be angry or be disappointed or whatever it is. That it just means that there are other stories in the discomfort that can surface. And usually I think of it as discomfort is a process you have to go through, and there is a coming out of discomfort, and usually there's light and joy in some way.
Well, I'm going to keep that in mind next week when I'm at that mindset retreat and they're pushing me beyond my comfort zone the entire week. That should be interesting. But also I'm thinking about something that happened recently when they had the shooting a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And my mind couldn't process it. I couldn't process all of that. And so that what I had to do was I thought of people like you and other people in my life who have made it their mission to spread joy and love and peace. And so my way of fighting back against that inconceivable hate was to reach out to people and to say, hey, you know what? I'm really glad you're here, because otherwise what would happen? So thank you for being a joy warrior. So tell me about the groups that you run. Like, what kind of groups are you running where you incorporate play and joy?
So the groups that I've done for many years, I actually took a break from them, were new moms groups. And not in some of those we incorporated play and interacting with baby, but also just I think of play as being engaging. So either going through various exercises around mindfulness, or we would have these moments for mom, and we would incorporate some sort of activity to kind of focus on their self-care. And then I stepped away from those. I'm actually going to resurrect a group in 2019 for new moms with babies 2 to 12 weeks. I'm also very drawn to women in transition, or women who just need support in some way. And I find through my own process that there's sort of these touch points in life where we could really be in community. It would be super helpful to be in community with each other to get us through the next. And I have found that a friend of mine had reached out to me, and she's like, can you make a group on, like, she called it sandwich moms. And I was like, what's a sandwich mom? And she's like, she was describing herself. She was re-entering a career after being home with kids. She's raising teenagers. She's caring for aging parents, and she's perimenopausal. So I was like, okay, that sounds like something that we could explore. So I thought about that. And so those groups are going to happen also in 2019. One of the things that I love to do also is a vision board. And in vision board, we actually incorporate play by creating. And vision board is usually setting goals and intentions for the year and then collaging the imagery around it. And it on kind of the surface level, it's a great activity. It's just nice, and there's some sort of stress release in it. But the way I run that group is a little bit deeper. We go a little bit deeper through visualization to really get to what's really going on in the heart and to rise that to the surface. So then that's what the goal or the intention is set for whatever the next is for that person. I've been trained as a life is good playmaker. So in some of my groups, we activate our bodies, we get up and we engage through play. So there's things like we did at the Shoe Breeze, the yarn ball, where we toss around the ball and kind of show how we are connected using a tool and kind of sharing and being open. There's a few other games that I love to play where sometimes they're used to just get to know each other. You might see that there's one, Life is Good calls it one thing, and then there's the company or the nonprofit I work for used it. I think they called it The Way the Wind Blows, and you kind of shout out these different things that people could have in common. Like, my favorite color is purple, and so all the people that love purple, they kind of go on one end of the spectrum, but then some people that kind of like it go in the middle, and some people that don't like it would go on the end, and you can just kind of see where everybody is. And it's not meant to be divisive, it's meant to be, let's see what we have in common. So that's like a good getting to know you type of activity. So I guess they're kind of like team building activities, but the thing that happens when we do these is people are smiling.
Yes.
And as adults, I feel like sometimes we just need to be kid-like and smile and play. And so I don't know if that answered your question.
It did. And what struck me, of course, was how you said the vision boarding. And I'm like, yeah. And it's the same thing when people first told me, you should journal. You should journal, Susan. You should journal. You should write your gratitudes. I'm like, yeah, I'm so grateful all the time. But something about doing the activity rises. So you said doing the vision board brings certain things to the surface, right? So my thing is rise above the noise. Yours is right. It would also be rising above the noise. We've got so much to have those things bubble up, is what you said, bubble up to the top. So you're like, that's what it is. That's the thing that gives me joy. Look at it, keeps coming up over and over again. It's walking on the beach, or it's coloring, or it's whatever it is, that doing the exercises that you give people helps them clarify, really clarify, almost like physically clarify what it is that's bringing them joy.
Yes. And another part of my visualization that I think is my vision board that is really important, and it seems small, is that at the end, the group is welcome. It's an option to share what they collected and what their process was during that time of vision boarding. And there's something about vocally speaking also. Yeah. It rises above the noise also. We kind of set our intention. We out loud put it out there, and whether it manifests or not, that is part of the process for the individual to have that experience for clarity or for setting intention. And I had one of my vision board experiences. It left a huge imprint on me. You don't, in group, when you do group work, you don't know what your group's going to be like. There's this aspect of group dynamics that comes up, and over time you kind of figure out how to manage different things. And I had one woman who this one group where it was a great group of people, and they were, some people were kind of not really sure what was happening, so they kept it on the surface, totally great. Some people were processing career, and some people were processing some other personal things. And I had one woman who had lost a child, and made 3 vision boards, and each vision board was just this healing process for her. And I had no idea until at the end she shared what she was doing, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was probably one of the most powerful things I experienced in a vision board class. It was just that this parent was mourning the loss of their child. And it was so healing for them to do that and get to the joy, get through the joy of being uncomfortable and in pain.
Wow. Yeah, there's something about speaking it out loud and then speaking it in a group. And I have found that I'm in a few accountability groups, and I run a couple of accountability groups. And there are people that arrive and they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. There's so much, right? Again, there's so much. And then through the process, we figure out, all right, here's the 2 things you need to do. Can you commit to those 2 things in the next, week or 2 weeks? And so sometimes yes. And if they can't commit, then that's okay. Right? So then it's just like, all right, what can you commit to? And then again, speaking it out loud, and then the group is a testament, right? They're listening to you, and then it gets done.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And again, we also have personal accountability buddies where they're checking in with each other too. So in a kind, gentle way.
Yes.
Because it's easy to get lost in everything. It's easy to throw spaghetti at the wall and not know what's going to stick. And so you're putting intent on bringing joy into the life by naming it and speaking it out loud. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah. So here's my last question for you today. Why do you think, and if anybody else has questions, we'll have a few minutes for Q&A at the end, or if you want to throw it into the chat, that's fine. I've got everybody muted for now, but I'll unmute after Nicole answers this question, which is, why do you think that joy or playfulness would be helpful to somebody like us, to me, like somebody like me, a small business person, an independent, like somebody in business, or even someone who works in an office? What's the value?
Oh, well, the value is, I think work can be really hard. I mean, it is hard. Sometimes in our work, we don't love it. Maybe we're working because we have to make ends meet, or we have to survive. Sometimes we're working because we're being called to certain work. And oftentimes that comes with its own string of struggles as well. I mean, life is a struggle, and work is part of life. So, and business is part of life. So if we can find that joy, it just makes the experience better. And I believe that when we get into that real authentic joy that's in our heart, it propels us forward. So whether that's playful, using play in your day, doing something that's just fun, that brings you joy. Sometimes, like I said before, with what I was saying about kind of the practice of joy, you sometimes have to force yourself to do it until it becomes routine. So for business owners in particular, asking yourself what does bring you joy. And it could be something as simple as, I just want to go walk my animal, walk my dog, or I want to go outside and just sit. Or it might be, I'm going to go put on a rockin' tune and just dance for a minute, or I'm going to go sing, or whatever it is that brings, or I'm going to go snuggle my new baby, or, whatever those things are, or I'm going to connect with somebody. Just making sure that you're intentionally carving out time in your day to bring that peace in. I'm sure it does something to the brain too. So if you need to focus on something and sort of taking that break and finding something that fuels you or fuels your heart, can bring you back, and you could be more productive, or you might find joy and openness and then be able to connect with somebody who opens a door for you, or the possibilities are endless, so that's my opinion. I think the other thing that one of the things I wanted to say was being in community brings me joy personally, and I find that when I do that, I get such a high, like this internal warmth, and I'm like ready to go. Like I'm motivated, so sometimes just taking that time out gives you that little boost of energy you need to kind of go to the next in your business. And there was one other thing I wanted to say, and I just sort of lost my train of thought. Give me 1 second. It was so good too.
Well,
I'll think of it.
Yeah, when I post it, you can put it on the comments when I post the video here too. It's interesting, in the Rise Above the Noise Facebook group, this month we're doing the book, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
Yeah, I saw your post on that.
And so it's kind of dense. So it's taken me some time to get through it in order to post it. But the idea is that, so what you're saying is if we train our brain to do, or if we train ourselves for 10 days, right? If we set a priority, today I'm going to dance. Like I sit at my area ready. I'm going to do my work, but first dance, or first go for a walk, or first color, or first sing, or whatever it is that we've decided gives us that like deep joy, and we create that habit. And then we don't even have to think about it. And then sometimes even you don't even have to do it. You just have to think about it, and it gives you that internal feeling. So it's really exciting. The time went by really quickly, but I want to leave time for, I have a question that I want to ask. Jody wants to know, when is your next vision boarding class? You got somebody ready to go.
Yay. So I have 2 that are scheduled. One is, at She Breathes Studio at the end of January. So the vision board, the group vision boards I tend to do at the beginning of the year, it makes sense. We're setting, New Year resolutions, but mine is a little unique because they're not those type of like, I'm going to get fit for the new year. It's more of like internal, like what is your intention? So that one I believe is January 27th. And then I have another that I'm offering at the early part of January. It's a Sunday. I think it's January 6th at Hawthorne Farm Retreat Center, which is in Medfield, Massachusetts. If you haven't been to that space, it's a beautiful space as well. So those are the 2. The other thing that I would throw out there is, in my coaching work, I also incorporate vision boards. So we do it in a one-on-one way. And then if you did, I always open up, like I love customizing stuff for people. So if you have a group of people that are super interested in doing something like that, I can certainly be brought in as a facilitator for that as well.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you.
And then I see, so you, we talked before, and you wanted to give a special offer for people who listen to this webinar, and I think it's really very generous. So a free check-in chat or a discovery call, I would imagine. And then also, this is very nice of you, $50 off of a coaching service, or $20 off of a 1-hour energy session. So thank you for that. And how can people get in touch with you?
So you can go to my website. There's lots of contact forms on my website. My email is nourishwithcoco@gmail.com. You can certainly call me, 617-240-2858. So that's easy for me it's easy to get in touch with me. Those are the best ways. Or, I love social media, Facebook and Instagram. You can definitely reach out to me on that. I have a business Facebook page. Did I say that right? Nourish with Coco is my business page.
Okay, good.
And then you can connect with me personally. I did think of my thought. Because when you said habit, I was like, that's there's the fitness watches now, or some of the things, they have these reminders to get up and move, like if you're sitting too long. I love that idea. So you could, kind of in those moments, if you're using those as a tool, that could also be a reminder of when to do your joyous activity, you know.
Awesome. Awesome. Any other last minute questions from folks that are here? You guys, I wish you all a joyous week.
Yay, joy!
And if I don't, so next week's interview is going to be pre-recorded with Devin Grilly, who'll be talking about using your authentic no, which I think would be like, it's, similar but different, right? Like what doesn't give you joy? Leave that over there. Like what gives you joy, what doesn't. So we're going to pre-record that and ask for questions ahead of time to help Devin put together her presentation. And then everybody can have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll be back after that.
Thank you, Susan.
So much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Coco.
Thanks for letting me be part of this.
So much fun. Bye, guys.
Bye.